Sillage of a secret. Perfume tells the truth long after the mouth forgets what it swore. Alcohol carries gossip. Resins keep grudges. Amber has a memory like a locked drawer. If you want to know who someone really is, don't ask their friends, ask their pulse points. Skin keeps better records than dinner companions. My name is Julian. I blend accords in a studio above a flower market where mornings smell like crushed stems, and the afternoon heat turns the air into tea. The room is spare as a chapel, pipettes standing to attention in beakers of distilled water, a balanced scale that twitches like a nervous metronome, rows of amber bottles with dropper caps, each labeled in my own small hand. Iris concrete, hedione, labdanum absolute iso super, a dozen musks that could tell on you if I let them. When I'm alone, I talk to my raw materials. Civet deserves coaxing. Oak moss likes to be dared. Clients come up the iron stairs like pilgrims. They bring me their lives in adjectives: clean, dangerous, expensive, unbothered. I try not to judge the nouns they omit. She arrived on a Tuesday with weather on her shoulders. The bell at the top of the stair said hello the way metal does when it's been touched by someone who is accustomed to being welcomed. She stepped inside, lifted off her sunglasses with an economy that came from practice, and placed them beside the blotter strips like a truce. "Julian," she said, reading my card without needing to. "I'm Sierra Vance." In this city, the name Vance is printed on glass and occasional hospital wings. Adrian Vance funds ideas and collects outcomes. He buys neighborhoods to help them become phrases like creative corridor. I'd seen Sierra in photographs, always half-turned as if an invisible conversation just behind her had her better attention. In person, she made space behave. Her dress was the color of pale smoke. Her mouth looked like it had something to add to your day whether you wanted additions or not. "How can I help?" I asked, reaching for a clean strip. "I want a private extralet," she said. "No one else on earth gets to wear it, not even the women who think we share a seamstress." "Would it be for a particular room?" I asked, "or an enemy?" "A room that thinks it's the only room," she said, "and perhaps one or two witnesses." I smiled before I meant to. "We start with your skin," I said, and offered her the stool by the window. Skin is a conversation. You have to introduce it politely and then wait while it decides whether you're worth telling things to. I washed my hands at the little sink, dried them with paper that rustled like a quiet apology, and set out a plate of raw materials. "We'll build from the base like a good argument," I said. "Amber and woods first, musk that will remember you even after you leave. Then a heart, your handwriting. Then a top that pretends to be simple and isn't." She laughed softly. "Do you flirt with all your clients, or do you reserve it for the married ones?" "I flirt with the air," I said. "It's cheaper than electricity." She held out her wrist. The veins at the base of her palm were the color of winter plums. I dabbed a solution of labdanum and a small heresy of vanilla on the inside, then waited. Notes bloom in stages like a careful lie. I watched her watch herself, which is always the real test. The resin warmed, opened, breathed. "Too sweet," she said. "I like sweetness that carries a blade." "Bitter almond," I said, reaching for heliotropin. "Just a thread. It reads like innocence to the untrained nose and like mischief to everyone who matters." I touched my pipette to her pulse. She closed her eyes. A breath left her that sounded like silk being laid on a table. When she opened them again, the room had admitted a secret. "What's that?" she asked. "The thing that makes people stand too close," I said. She didn't step back. More. "We built a heart from iris and smoked tea, the kind of gray that requires hand-washing. A scythe of leather, tamed and polished until it behaved like a rumor that knows better. I worked slow. She watched with the attention of someone who has been bored by attention. I didn't ask about Adrian. She didn't say his name again. She didn't have to. It hung where money hangs in rooms, not heavy, just in the way. When I leaned in to test the blend, I smelled something that wasn't mine. A ghost at the back of her wrist. A shard of cologne that preferred elevator mirrors and back seats. Sharp dry woods, a note of ISO super only, and something synthetic that came on like chrome. I tuned that profile last year for a rival house and watched it walk out into the world on the throats of men who believe in their height. You were with someone who thinks dry down is something carpets do, I said lightly. She eyed me over the slope of her cheek. Your nose is a home invader. It's only a witness, I said. It dusts for prints. You won't be writing a report, will you? She asked, voice low enough to file under private. I bind my clients' secrets in resin, I said. Alcohol carries them only where you ask. She let her gaze travel around the little room, the vials, the neat stack of blotter strips, the small framed photo of my mother holding a gardenia like a tiny planet. Good, she said, and touched the inside of her wrist to the tip of my finger without looking at it. I come to you like a confessional then. I'm a chemist with a candle problem, I said, but I won't absolve anyone who doesn't want to be forgiven. Tell me what you'll call it, she said. Names are last, I said. Names have to earn themselves. She booked 3 more sessions, then reached for her sunglasses and pushed them up into her hair instead of on her face, a small rebellion. Before she left, she traced a fingertip across the label on the heliotropin bottle like she was teaching herself a word. The stair complained under her heel. The bell over my door looked sorry to close behind her. I have rules. I write them small in the back of my blending notebook where solvents can't dissolve them. They begin with don't touch what you can only carry for a minute. They include call things what they are before the air does it for you. They also say secrets are combustible. Stack them carefully. Sierra came back in a rainstorm wearing a trench that had not seen a trench. She shrugged it off onto my coat rack like she was shedding a skin. I have 30 minutes, she said. Make them useful. We chose a base musk together with the kind of attention I save for tailoring and bad ideas. The drop counted itself out. The room learned to lean in. I placed a dot in the hollow of her throat, and the air lifted like lace finding its job. What do you do when a room lies to you? She asked, half to the window. I make it tell on itself, I said. Everything volatile leaves a record. And people, she asked. People believe their own sillage, I said. They mistake the smell they trail for the truth. She laughed once and then didn't again. Adrian thinks a scent is a brand, she said, like a woman trying to put a bruise on the table without anyone calling it a bruise. He wants me to wear something named after myself that smells like a promise. He's thrown 2 perfumers at me this month. I told him perfume isn't a billboard. He told me perfume is a leash if you buy the right leather. I kept my face where science lives. And you. I'm tired of being congratulated for showing up, she said. Make me something that shows up without asking for applause. Make me something that will behave like a secret in a room full of microphones. Secrets are easy, I said, and touched her wrist with the Iris T again. It's courage that needs doozing. She took my hand, turned it over like an object and pressed her lips to the inside of my wrist once. No lipstick, no warning, a signature you'd only see if you knew where to look. It was not a seduction so much as a receipt. When she let go, the place burned in a disciplined way. I'll come early next time, she said, before the day knows what it plans to be. I stood at the sink and ran cold water over my hand until the heat learned manners. Then I texted the only person who gets the version of me that doesn't fit in bottles. Her name is Myra. We used to try to love each other properly. Now we love each other correctly. She's a photographer with a talent for never making people hate the truth. We aren't together and we are. A trick that works because we name it out loud. There are 2 rules on the back of her apartment door in black marker. Say it before, and don't bring other people's ghosts into my bed. The rules have kept us better than monogamy ever did. Before, I typed, I want a client's yes to stick to me longer than it should. Her reply came with the generosity of women who have taught themselves how to be calm in rooms designed to steal their time. Bring back heat, not drama. Don't talk to me in adjectives. Sierra arrived early. The market downstairs yawned, fog lifting its skirt like rehearsal. She wore jeans and a white shirt and the kind of bra that has opinions. I pretended to check the balance. She pretended to examine the shelf of synthetics. Before, I said into the space between us, I want to kiss you. Her mouth learned surprise and turned it into permission. I kissed her like I kiss a good note, soft first, then with belief. She tasted like mint and the sort of choice you make twice. When we stopped, the room pretended to have been doing something else. Thank you for saying it before you did it, she whispered. That's rarer than sandalwood. We should make your top note, I said, not stepping away. We chose one as sharp as a turned heel and as forgiving as linen. Grapefruit for clarity, a sliver of blackcurrant bud for the kind of green that makes teeth ache. She leaned into me. I pressed my thumb to the angle of her jaw to keep the bottle steady. It wasn't a bedroom, it was better. We built an intimacy that smelled like we'd meant it. When she left, she took a small vial home, a trial labeled in my careful hand. Sierra X1. I stood at the window and watched her get into a car that knew it didn't need to introduce itself. The day of the Vance Foundation Gala, my phone rang with a number that looked like a locked door. Adrian's assistant asked if I'd be willing to attend in a technical capacity. Sierra texted an hour later. Come if you like rooms that believe their own echoes. I said yes to both and wore a suit that smelled like cedar and patience. The ballroom was glitter and inventory. Waiters circled with trays like punctuation marks. Art hung in a way that suggested it knew lawyers. I stood near the piano and pretended to be an engineer. Sierra arrived on Adrian's arm wearing the extravagant we'd built. It woke the room like a small argument. She looked like punctuation at the end of a long, dishonest paragraph. She found me with her eyes once, and the world retuned. Adrian shook hands the way tycoons do, downward pressure, engaged gaze, a little squeeze of future. He passed me a look that said he recognized my category and had collected us before. I made small talk that tasted like sawdust and watched Sierra do gravity better than the chandeliers. During the speeches, she touched her wrist to her throat and I knew she'd reapplied. A little heat rose from her collarbone, lifted by the hedonione like a curtain. Everyone clapped for everyone, and money congratulated itself for being good. After, in a corridor where the light remembered how to be kind, she stood with her back to the wall and breathed like a person coming home to herself. I stepped close without touching her. Close is a thesis. You don't need to read it out loud. He told me I smell like his investment, she said, mouth steady. You smell like you, I said, and a choice. He wants you to formulate a version we can license, she said with the exact contempt the words deserved. He thinks private is an insult to scale. We could dose his with laundry musk and humility, I said. He'd never notice. She laughed into my shirt, a sound with weight. Take me somewhere that doesn't have a press kit, she said. We walked out into air so clean the city looked edited. I didn't hold her hand. I walked half a step behind, which is what you do when you want someone to feel unobserved while they decide a thing. At my studio, I unlocked the door and the room lifted its head in a way I will never not love. She went straight to the window and unbuttoned her cuff as if the movement had been waiting in her bones all night. Before, I said again, because repetition is a kind of faith. I want to undress you, but I don't want to find someone else's script on your skin. It's all mine, she said, even the parts I'm tired of carrying. I did not inventory us. We learned each other with care and a small meanness toward fear. Her back fit my palm like something I'd measured. Her breath found the rhythm where bodies stopped trying to win. When she came apart, she didn't close her eyes. I said her name like a solution. She said mine like a solvent. It was not messy. It was exact. After, the room settled around us as if nothing surprising had happened. That's the best kind of surprise. We lay on the small rug that usually keeps glass from throwing tantrums. The rain found a beat on the window that sounded like shoes leaving a party that had gone on long enough. I'm leaving him, she said, not dramatic. She curled a hand against my chest and then drew it away like a woman practicing leaving more than one thing. Not because of this. Because I remembered I wanted to be the sort of person who can smell herself in a room and like the answer. Do you want help? I asked. I want a witness, she said. I want my scent to be a verb. Then keep the extra, I said, and keep the name. What is it? She asked. Sillage, I said. Not the trail a person leaves, the proof they were real while they were here. We'll call it Sierra yes and refuse to apologize. She smiled the way windows do when they're open and the air is good. Thank you, she said, which is a sentence people seldom earn. In the weeks that followed, Adrian sent 3 lawyers and 1 bouquet so large it looked like architecture. I returned the lawyers and took the lilies apart to see if their pollen could teach me something. It can. It stains. He tried to hire me to make the public version. I told him there is no public version of someone's yes. Sierra moved into an apartment with windows that didn't need curtains and a kitchen that forgave her for never being hungry at the right time. She sent me a photo of Sierra yes on her bathroom shelf between a cheap lip balm and a plant that didn't know it was aggressive. I can smell my own courage at 7 a.m., she wrote. That's worth more than marble. I didn't frame the message. I kept it where I keep my first vial of Hedione, a small brown bottle with a glass stopper that kisses when you open it and sighs when you close it. At night, after I wipe down the bench and empty the sink of the day's confessions, I walk the market below and let the bruised peaches preach their sermons. I go to Myra's sometimes and sit on her floor while she edits portraits for people who want their faces to tell the truth without being punished for it. We drink tea. I tell her about Sierra's laugh without stealing it. She touches my jaw as if checking that it's still lined up with the part of me that means well. Perfume is proof that we're faithful to ourselves even when we fail each other. It's also a way to apologize to your own body for asking it to be brave for too long. When I open Sirius to make another tiny batch, the room lifts its face and the resin remembers our promise. Not monogamy, not spectacle, just the small, expensive discipline of saying the thing before you do it and then doing it with hands that know how to measure. The rest, gala lights, elevators, the heavy names on doors, evaporates exactly as it should, and the truth, thin, shimmering, undeniable, hangs in the air a moment longer enough to breathe, enough to decide.